It's news time. Okay, a lot has happened. Blizzard have a new game. It kind of has a dark side. 9.2.5 is here. We've got a few intriguing things that have been discovered, and it turns out the plot might not actually be over yet. Okay, let's get stuck in. So 9.2.5 is out, and even from those disgruntled with the state of the lore, like myself, sentiment has actually been quite positive. The two big quest lines, Blood Elves and Forsaken, are great, and the new lore is, like, all brilliant. The Forsaken have been, like, properly re-established, and Kalia has finally found a position in the game that's not, like, super frustrating. The sort of weird savior arc that some people were quite worried about has not came to pass. And really just, after so much of the Sylvanas stuff, just seeing the likes of, say, Belmont just be there and kind of acting like himself, that's great. The Forsaken feel still like the Forsaken. And then the Anduin Sylvanas cutscene. That's marvelous. Now, it's certainly an end to a story that, for the most part, was quite shoddily told sort of in-game as an overall experience, even though it had a few, like, pretty good bits. But, like, the ending? Brilliant. Where both the characters go? Great. The acting? Great. The actual quality of the cinematic with all the new animations and stuff? Brilliant. The lore there, like, for Anduin and stuff, makes great sense. I mean, Anduin is finally moving in a direction that's just not, you know, I am the moral paragon of the Alliance and the beloved soft boy of Warcraft. No, he's growing up, right? He's acting like a human in response to what's happened, and I think his portrayal really sold that fact so well. Kind of left me excited to see what's going to happen next for him, and honestly, whenever Sylvanas comes back, and I imagine that will be quite a long time, I'm happy enough with it. But definitely, we need a chunky cooldown from her. As for the Night Elves, I mean, hey, perhaps there's hope that tree might get fixed someday, and, well, it seems you'll be quite important to Dragonflight. So I guess really, it was just nice heading online to see almost universally positive sentiment for World of Warcraft again. I mean, shit, it's been a while. Now, this is, yeah, it's a small patch, right? And my expectations were in line with that. I was expecting a small amount of content. What I wanted to see is, well, will the quests be good? Will the lore be good? Turns out they were. I think people expecting something massive and big, or for Shadowlands to not be Shadowlands anymore, I mean, of course you'll be disappointed if that's what you went in wanting. But I kind of say think about it this way. So the Blood Elf and Forsaken quest lines overall are about 70 minutes, and they're pretty damn good. Add on maybe another 10 or so minutes for the two new cinematics. So you got about 80 minutes of narrative content that I'd say was all excellent. And that's in an incidental content patch made while the main focus for Blizz is Dragonflight. Like, that's not too bad. Now sure, it's less than an FF14 patch has for its MSQ, but it is the sort of thing I would like to see World of Warcraft do more. And for what it was, I valued it a lot. It's also directionally important. Epilogue lore updates are now in the game, not in a book. That's really important, right? So for the Night Elves and the way that that plotline will transition into Dragonflight, that's not in a book. Assuming they do everything else right, we won't be in a situation like with, say, Mists of Pandaria to Warlords of Draenor, where you basically really did need the lore updates of the War Crimes novel for it to make sense. Stuff like that has happened too much. And here as well, we actually see the character motivation, the emotional stuff, we see that too. And that's also important for expansion to expansion continuity and the player experience. So that's brilliant. And now, for dragons! Just a quick little promo for our Patreon. It's Monk Month, also dragons, so that's the trio of Patreon this month. Yeah, stuff's awesome. Best way to support the team, so we would appreciate it. And yeah, all made by the art team. And suffice to say, they're having a lot of fun, sort of building everything out. And I mean, who knows? We're kind of thinking, like, what are the sorts of projects we'll do after Pale Beyond? You know, could we do a small little thing in sort of the little world they're building? I don't know, I can't confirm, but I mean, maybe, and if it's the sort of thing you'd really like, you know, let us know. Okay, next then, let's talk about something a little bit strange. I think this is my main quibble, really, with the patch. So for some bizarre reason, all the members of the newly formed Desolate Council have the title Desolate Council, except for one, Kalia. Instead, she has the title The Pallid Lady. Which, I mean, to me, just like, here we're going to set her up as some sort of... I mean, I get it. I suppose they just sort of take her very self-seriously. But not only that, Derek Proudmoore now has the title Champion of the Pallid Lady. Does that kind of remind you of Sylvanas and Nathanos? Because it feels like a V2 of that. Obviously different characters. But, I mean, like, why form a council of, like, equal importance members and then give one of them a special title? Am I reading into it too much? Is it supposed to be a play on Sylvanas, right? You know, the Dark Lady, the Pallid Lady? I don't know. But next, I've got something intriguing for you. Venari is up to something. Now, personally, I am convinced Blizzard had broader plans for Shadowlands. From a few different things, like even the Drust, but especially for Venari. I thought it was kind of odd that the Venari plot ended up going nowhere within the main bulk of Shadowlands. Yet here, Blizzard have elegantly got around that problem, actually. It's pretty cool. So if you go to the Maw, you'll find that Venari is now purple. And that it's not Venari, it's like a decoy that she left behind. Because it turns out that all that Stygia we got for her was for something. And now she, knowing that Cartel Vi may attack her, is heading to Zereth Mortis. Now go to the Creation Catalyst, and you'll find her burnt corpse. Upon inspection, it seems she tried to do something with that Stygia, and it killed her. But is the case closed? No, the case is not closed, because if you are wearing engineering goggles, like if you're a Shadowlands engineer, you'll get a new dialogue option, and here's what you get. There are some small, barely noticeable inconsistencies in the area. Most would go unnoticed, but your mastery of engineering and familiarity with Venari allow you to notice them. Okay. That's all we've got so far. But given their record, the WoW devs may have actually crafted a secret here. One that has really not been solved. We don't even know where to go. Now, Wowheads and others have pointed out that there's a toy called the Stored Wisdom device that was added in this patch, but it has no known source. And the flavor text says, contains the sage wisdom of the notorious Venari. So this could come in a future update, or it could be in the game right now, but we don't know how to find it. A classic secret. So who knows what we're going to find out from this? I mean, one thing, like Fareem talked about a crack in the pattern, and Venari only went to Zereth Mortis after Zovaal fell, so could she be trying to exploit that? What is she researching? What is she looking into? I don't know, but hopefully we'll find out soon. Certainly, you know, I was sad to see her seemingly go nowhere, so for me, this is just a wonderful surprise, and she's certainly a character I'd like to keep around in the future. I should mention some of the launch issues we had. Some people have actually had character problems. Then Pandemic, the very core mechanic to Hots and Dots, broke, and then was hotfixed quite quickly. And now they've actually had to pool cross-faction rated PvP for a little bit. Fun. Basically here, the way that it works is that sometimes you only find out about things when they're pushed to a live environment. Now, the Pandemic thing apparently was actually found on the PTR, so it could be that they had a fix, and it turned out the fix didn't end up working, or something was miscommunicated, but either way, they were able to hotfix that pretty quickly. Next then, a new way for you to get weapons. There is a little known but welcome change, a new quest that unlocks Cypher weapons. It basically just adds weapons to the current Zereth Mortis gearing system. To get the quest, you just have to kill enemies in the zone. But a lot of people have ended up being confused because they kill enemies, they don't get the quest. They don't know what's going on. Turns out, it only, the item that spawns the quest only drops if you have actually done the Broken Circle questline that's unlocked by the Altonian Understanding Cypher upgrade. Now, it turns out it's actually a nice little quest. I did it before to get the 50% increased ciphers, and the NPC that you get it from does sell some other handy items too. So, there you go. The upshot of this is that world content only players can now get a full set of gear, weapons included. It's time for Blizz to make some money because a 30% sale for faction changes and server transfers is here. The 1 and 3 character options are 30% off, while the 6 character option has been boosted to 8 characters for the same price. I guess it's a pity they don't have the combined, or a combined faction and realm transfer. I know for some people that could be quite useful. Basically, this makes sense. They know that for many people, they're not playing the faction they want to. They know that the cross-faction changes open that up, meaning they might want to play on the faction they actually like, but still with the people they know. So this is both a great time to provide players with a deal, and also bump up the earnings. MMO character surfaces, you rascals. Next then, Blizzard have nerfed Mythic Sepulchre again. I think there's some nerfs that actually aren't only Mythic though. It's interesting though, so this time they've actually said that they want to smooth out pain points for progression and repeat kills. Now this is just the next in a long line of nerfs, but now they've actually explained why. They said that Sepulchre had an abundance of mechanics that they basically felt were too unforgiving, right? Where a single error would just cause an unrecoverable wipe. And then even more importantly, they said they agree with player feedback on the raid. And they're basically thinking about all of that as they design the Dragonflight raid content. So, good. I think for me then, the big question is, from my subjective experience of, I only did normal and work got really busy, so I tapped out for our guild's heroic progression, and then honestly, we just, life got in the way for loads of us. I don't know. Hopefully, when Dragonflight comes around, we all just kind of are in a place where we can play the game. You know what it's like when it's a social guild with a small, decently tightly knit group of people, right? So yeah, I mean, I loved the raid. I thought it was really fun. I thought there was really cool bosses. But I suppose up in Mythic, maybe a little bit different. To be honest, I'm still a bit salty. I really feel that those Anduin nerfs that happened while we were progressing on them, I just thought they were way too much, and it, I don't know, kind of cheapened it a little bit. But anyway, as long as whatever sorts of changes Blizzard want to make don't come at the expense of the raid being really great, but I suppose thinking about the Mythic situation, it does seem like progress has been slow, right? So yeah, there's that. But look, I don't really raid Mythic, I don't have much insight into that. Ultimately though, this is them taking on player feedback and learning for the new expansion, and actually talking about doing that, so that's actually really good. Warcraft 3 Reforged is just a black mark in Blizzard's track record, and somebody asked Mike Ybarra what's up with the game, and surprisingly, he actually said we're going to find out in June. Yeah, so a funny thing, the 20th anniversary of Warcraft 3 is out the 3rd of July this year. So it'd be pretty damn embarrassing if the 20th anniversary rolls around and the game is in the dire state that it's in right now. I mean, apparently, it's basically unmoderated. The players are just saying, yeah, you do a BNet report and it just goes into the void. And there's loads of core features that are actually missing, right? Very notably absent ones, even though Blizzard said that they were promised. So why didn't they materialize? Why have the patches not came? I'd say it's probably got something to do with the classic games team being disbanded. Now, those features are a ranked ladder, player profiles, clans, and then native support for custom campaigns. Speaking of which, there's actually, there's a Warcraft 2 custom campaign, mod project that's being worked on right now that looks just incredible. So, I mean, at least if the disaster that is Reforged enables that, we'll get something out of it. But anyway, apparently the Warcraft 3 community also does think that a graphical change is in the works to the game, which, I mean, I'd really welcome. It's funny, I only realized this whenever me and Matt did a video about it for the news channel, but there's these Warcraft 3 style sort of HD assets that Blizzard added to StarCraft 2 in 2015 to support its arcade mode and custom games. They've got the same art style as Warcraft 3. They're just, a higher res, more detailed. Well, not detailed in a bad way, which is basically how I would describe the new art assets for Reforged that just kind of look like Warcraft meets Raid Shadow Legends. I don't think they're that good. I think they greatly damage the game readability. I mean, sure, you can pull them up in a model viewer, and there's more polys, there's more detail, the textures are high resolution, but you look at it in game and it's just soup compared to what the game looked like in the past. So it's interesting the community thinks change could happen there. I think really for me the question is, are Blizzard willing to actually rescope their support of this game? Will they decide to deliver on its initial promise? You know, one of the new voice lines, more voice lines, character updates, lore that fits the modern Warcraft franchise, you know, reworks, modernizations for missions, actual, you know, new gameplay, things that make it feel like a big new release to go and play. Or, which is what they initially promised for the game, and then they cut that way, way, way down for release, and we've talked about that at length in the past. Or are they just going to do a minor patch so that they can add those missing features and then just sort of tick the box and move on? And I guess then finally, no matter what, who's doing this? The Classic Games team doesn't exist. I'd say if there are going to be higher scope changes, then Vicarious Visions are remaster experts. And of course, Vicarious Visions was merged into Blizzard Entertainment. I mean, they did the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster, amongst other things. Diablo 2 Resurrected as well. So if something of significant scope was to be done, perhaps they, now called Blizzard Albany, by the way, would actually be the team for it. Finally then. Oh, Diablo Immortal. Right, I'll make this quick. I played it, hooked my iPad up to a monitor, used the controller. It plays great. It feels like a Diablo game. I mean, no surprise, there's a lot of similarities between it and Diablo 3. But it looks like a great slice of Diablo. I think there's like 20 hours of pretty damn high quality, like, story content to play. The classes all seem to be really fun. The controls, even on mobile, are super good, and on a gamepad, it feels genuinely great to play. There's so many positives to the game, some cool new features and all of that, but the downside is that this is monetized insanely. Insanely. Like, it is so bad. So bad. They do everything. Right, and like, it's pay to win. Like, definitionally, it is pay to win. It's not just pay to skip. I mean, it depends. Like, I think free-to-play players could get near enough if they just grind for a decade. And I'm not joking. That's actually one of the numbers that people have surfaced up of just doing the daily and weekly stuff for, you know, months and months and months and months and years. Or just, you know, swipe. Basically, the thing is, there's a gearing system called gems. You want to get legendary gems. The legendary gems are really where the insane whaling pay to win is. And those give you bonuses that are undoubtedly pay to win in PvP. That's shit. This is the most abhorrently designed game in terms of monetization that Blizzard have ever created by a long shot. It is an absolute black mark in their reputation, and frankly, it's no wonder that NetEase Games is the second logo whenever you boot the game up. Because when you're playing the Diablo bit, it totally is a Blizzard game. All the quality, the voice acting, it's all there. It feels great. And you really feel the, oh wait, this is Diablo, but it's been rammed in to the monetization loop of a NetEase ARPG. And I even remember the stories of players in China who, I forget the name of the NetEase ARPG, but like, they were getting really angry and pissed off at just how crazy the pay to win was getting in the game. So it's the sort of thing where, look, the average person is going to be able to probably boot this up, probably, you know, get a good bit out of it for free. But the important thing is, under no circumstances should you play this as an endgame ARPG. That would essentially be a crazy thing to do based on how this game is monetized. And it's every trick in the book. I mean, you kill a boss and you got a pop-up. Pop-up's like, hey, buy this, 90 pence. Here's a bunch of, you know, bonus things you'll get. 560% value. What does the 560% mean? This is all bullshit. That's wild. So if you really want to dive into that, me and Matt did a long, chunky video fully going in on the Diablo Immortal situation. But suffice to say, any concerns you had about that game are true. And the pay to win is actually worse than people thought, by quite a margin. You know, some of us thought that this is a game that maybe would have some pay for, you know, a bit faster, like a tiny bit faster, or maybe a little bit of convenience, or, you know, some more character slots, or maybe you know, the sort of thing where it's not as bad as mobile can get. It's not what we have in PC, but it's not awful. And we probably expected lots of cosmetic monetization as well, like you get in a game like, say, Apex Legends Mobile. But no, this is fully the worst of what mobile has to offer, rammed into what pretty much is the best ARPG on the mobile platform. Because that's the sad thing. It's a brilliant game. It's a great game. It's really fun. It's got Deckard Cain. You're going through a story with Deckard Cain, kind of resolving the end of Diablo 2, bridging us into Diablo 3. A whole big slice of world. Lots of shit that people have made. But look how they've tried to monetize it. It is so sad to see this. Yeah, I mean, we know what era of Blizzard this comes out of, but it is still coming out in this new-ish or whatever era of Blizzard. And, oh, yikes. Yeah, it's really rough. It's really bad. Jeez. Yeah, shame. Big shame. Anyway, that's it for the news. At least in the Warcraft side, it's actually a pretty damn happy situation. So I'll leave you with that. Take care. Have a great weekend. See you next time.